Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Passion Projects. Today, we had the absolute pleasure of sitting down and chatting with Dylan Does Disc Golf, who is a content creator and a disc golf player. Kind of mixes both of those together and gives you some awesome disc golf content, whether that is like a spin the wheel challenge or going for an ace on a hole. No matter what it is, it's some awesome and creative and fun content that you should really go check out and watch. So, if you'd like to go check out Dylan, here are the links to all of his socials. This was a really awesome conversation about creativity, mixing your passions with creativity, how to have more of a presence on camera, how your relationships change as you age. And it was just a great time to just sit down and talk with Dylan about some of these thoughts that I've been having on my own and just kind of voice that out loud. So without further ado, here is Dylan Does Disc Golf. It's fun to see.
That's one of the biggest hurdles that I feel like I've had to overcome is this notion of like originality and like obviously like not everything's been done, but a lot of things have been done in the way that like now it's time to kind of take something that maybe a few other people have had their ideas around, and then like if you have an idea to like make that your own a little bit or put your own spin on it, then that's like, to me, it took a second for that to register as like fair game. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, especially when like I'm also a musician. It's kind of my background for the most part.
What do you play?
I think of like copyrighted music, and like that's just a no-go at all. So I agree. It's hard for my brain to go, oh, I can kind of just take this idea and change it a little bit and do it my own way. And it's still
What do
me.
you play?
I mean, not as much lately, but guitar for sure.
Yeah.
I say piano, but it's more like just knowing some chords and some keys.
Sure.
Being able to fumble through it. For the most part, I'm a singer, a vocalist.
Nice.
Yeah, guitar is my main thing. Do you play instruments?
I play guitar. Yeah, I played guitar for a few years, and I was actually in a classic rock cover band in high school.
Whoa!
So
some deep lore.
Yes, there's a little lore drop for you there, but that's so funny you mentioned that, because we were writing music, or trying to write music. We came out with like a small little like 3-song EP, and one of our consultants or whatever was like, yeah, technically speaking, you can, or like legally speaking, you can just like take up to like, it was some crazy percentage of like a progression or a chord progression or some sort of like phrase from an existing song, and then as long as like that rest of the extra percent is your own, like you're just like fine.
Really?
You know?
Interesting.
But it kind of makes sense. I mean, on one hand, yeah, music is infinite, but on the other hand, it's like there are a finite number of 4-chord progressions that exist.
Yep. And I think we've done just about all of them.
Pretty much. Gotta be, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, but then you add like counter melodies over top of that, and that's like when you add layers, that's where it really changes.
It's the flavor. Yeah. Absolutely.
Did you ever get into like music production yourself?
So I had a brief stint where I managed to get a editing software on my computer and got like a plug-in system for my guitar. I wrote like 3 to 4 songs. One I was like pretty happy with, and it's really just a lot of, I don't know, I like learning new things, right? So going about that from a very fresh mindset was like interesting in the way that when you're learning on the fly, your standard for, okay, this is good enough, is lowered to a point where it's a lot more like freeing to be able to move on to that, because you're like, 100%. Hey, this is the first song I'm trying to record on here. It sounds decent. Cool. This part sounds decent. Let's move on to the next part. You know what I mean? We're not trying to, win an award.
Because I got pretty heavy in music production. I've produced of my own about 8 songs.
That's awesome.
And Yeah, thank you. They're on Spotify. If you want to give them if anyone watching this wants to give them a listen, they're on Spotify under Adam Wall. So,
Very
um,
exciting.
but yeah, when you make that first song, like you're saying, it's like, well, this is great. I love this. This is awesome. There's not like a ton of deep critical thinking about each part and how they come together. But then you hit this certain point where it just like nothing sounds good to you because you know you can do better, but you don't really know how to do better exactly. It's really
Yeah.
frustrating. So I think that's kind of what you're touching on there.
Yeah, I mean, to sort of segue into the content creation uh, aspect is I have a lot of fully edited videos on my phone that just don't make my own mental cut. So I'm like, all right, maybe I'll keep them around for a rainy day or something like that. But it's just not, whether it's like the idea was funnier in my head or, it was more entertaining in my head, whatever it is, I'm just like not getting that, spark. So
Sure.
sometimes you can save it.
Hmm.
Sometimes you can do some fun editing to make it a joke a little bit. But then other times it's like, all right, let's just move on to the next thing,
Yeah.
and in songwriting, I mean, I feel like that's a lot of, all right, this chord
Yeah.
progression isn't sounding quite right. The phrasing isn't quite right. Like I'm not like really getting a good feeling from it.
Hmm.
Let's just put this aside for now. Try a completely new thing.
Yep.
Like start from ground up. Like let's see
You could
how
be
it is. What's
pretty
that?
deep into a song and have that happen too.
Oh, like you could have it happen for like the entire song too. You're like all the way down the rabbit hole, and then you're like, oh, actually, this whole thing is just like,
It's not it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's how it
But
be.
so for anyone that hasn't seen your videos, who is Dylan Does Disc Golf and kind of how'd that
Yeah,
disc golf journey start?
yeah. So I majored in mathematics at the University of Richmond in Virginia. And one of my professors, who I was doing research with over a summer, he was very into disc golf, and there's a course on campus. And with my research team, we were all there in the classroom working stuff out. And he walks in the morning and he says, all right, team, no research today. We're all just going to go out and play some disc golf
That's awesome.
and throw some frisbees. And I was like, all right, I've thrown a frisbee before. I can do this. And so this is gonna be a slight humble brag here. Um, but when we went out, there's this little like quad area outside of the math department building.
Hmm.
And he was like, all right, we're just gonna, here guys, everybody take a frisbee. We're just gonna try and throw them across the quad. Um, Now it's like decent size. I mean, I would say it's probably sitting around like 15 feet, like distance, right?
Sure.
And when people are starting disc golf, there's a distinct difference between a disc golf disc and like a frisbee. Like
Oh, yeah.
it's a very like smaller, more compact, more dense thing. So when people throw it for the first time, they expect it to fly like a frisbee,
Hmm.
and it doesn't do that. Like it just kind of like goes up and then hooks left like immediately. So what he said before we all threw, he was like, just try and keep this thing as flat and shoulder level as possible. And now on the other side of the quad, there was construction happening on like a building. It was fenced off. And I was like, I raised my hand. I was like, but like, there's a fence over there. What if it goes into that area? And he was like, if you can get it even to the fence, I'll be very impressed. And so I was like, oh, all right, buddy. So I ripped this thing right into the construction yard, and I felt so bad because it was his frisbee. And I had to sheepishly walk over there and go, hey, excuse me, can you get that thing that I threw into your work zone here? So we got that. And then the next day, we went out and played the actual disc golf course. I wasn't good, but I had that like one like
Hmm.
really decent throw. And I was like, oh, okay, this is very exciting. I felt the dopamine. Here's the, reward centers are firing. And then I bought a little starter set or like starter pack. And that course was really nice because it was, literally in my backyard because I was living on campus.
Sure.
And I was just playing as much as I could, just not even really trying to get better, just like having fun. And, I convinced one of my roommates to get into it as well. So he and I could kind of bounce off each other's energy.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, right? We're having fun. We're having a good time. I have always enjoyed making silly videos. For as long as I can remember, as soon as I got my hands on like my mom's like iPad, right, I would like chase my little brother around with the with the camera and just like make silly videos. And then I would I would force my parents to sit on the couch and go, all right, watch this. We did like an hour of tag and we recorded the whole thing. And so we were doing that. And then let's see, there was a very specific niche of YouTube videos back in like the late 2000s, like mid 2000, early 2000, 2010-ish. Niche of YouTube videos that was like Nerf battles, right?
Yeah, I remember.
So,
Nerf
or
nothing, dude.
Yeah, Nerf or nothing. Every single like channel had some like Nerf videos with some cheap iMovie effects.
Yep.
Right. And so I had my brother and my friend at the time, Pat, we were just like, all right, we can do this. We're going to make it big with in the Nerf scene. And we just made a bunch of ridiculous little videos and we got way into it with like the special effects and stuff. And he was like, I remember him coming to me one time and he was like, I've cracked the recipe for fake blood. It's ketchup and then a little bit of water. I'm like,
that's a
yes.
crazy sentence.
I know, right? Crack the recipe for fake blood. So anyway, right? This tying into my dad showing me a bunch of comedy videos, sketches, Abbott and Costello, Blues Brothers, like all this slapstick, right? And that just kind of, I stopped making videos when I hit like, middle school, high school age, because it's just like, all right, we're doing other things now. I'm doing track, I'm doing extracurriculars and music and stuff. Then stay about like 6 months after college ended, after I graduated college, I just filmed a little like series of TikTok things. I just ordered like a little like cheap tripod off of Amazon. Didn't have any mics. I just did like a voiceover afterwards. And I put out onto TikTok just a series of like 3 holes each video, like of an 18-hole course.
Sure.
And it was fun. It was like bad, but it was fun, right? So I liked doing that. Had a good time. Filmed some stuff with my buddy from up in Pennsylvania. We were doing like just like dumb little challenge videos with disc golf and stuff because I got him infected with the bug also. People have told me I have a tendency to infect them with my own like hobbies. Like I got into rock climbing. Yeah, I got into rock climbing. My brother got into rock climbing then. It's just how I bring the people into my world. So let's see. Where were we? Oh yeah. So making little videos. And then I moved with my girlfriend down to North Carolina because she got a job at Duke Med as an emergency department nurse.
Wow.
So we're down here. There's a pretty substantial disc golf scene in North Carolina.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And yeah, and then I reached out to a local store, a local disc golf shop, and if they wanted any like content done. I didn't know what I was doing. The subject line of my email was, it was something like, uh, you know, offering professional, experienced social media content managing, like just just fake it till you make it kind
All
of
the
thing.
words,
So
yeah.
yeah, all of the words that I just put in, and I was like, oh, here's some of my highlights that I made, and I can do video editing.
That's awesome.
So, and then I got to talking with the owner, and we made some videos, and he hired me for a few like content things, promoting disc releases and all that stuff. Had a good time with it, but I didn't have the creative freedom, which is very important. So I then decided to start my own YouTube, start my own Instagram, and I was just like posting junk, like just like, here's a frisbee, watch me throw it,
Yeah.
kind of things. There was no like streamlining of effort. Like I literally, it was just kind of like I don't want to say like garbage bin, but like just like a laundry basket of like things that I'm just like throwing in as just stockpiling kind of thing.
Mhm.
Of stuff that I thought was like fun. Hey, I threw this disc shot well. Here you go. Not much traction, but it was fun. It was fun indeed. And then I'm thinking, all right, I want to do a project, like not just like individual clips or individual things. I want to do a project or something that spanning multiple videos at least. Because I got tired of, not tired, editing these YouTube videos, like long ones, can get tedious.
It can get very deep.
It can get
Very monotonous very quickly.
very tedious. The big thing is with disc golf content, you have to be constantly like zooming in and zooming out of the shots.
A lot of
So
keyframes.
there's all this keyframe junk that has to happen for every single shot. So that can get a little iffy on the motivation side of it.
For sure.
Anyway, this guy, Sam Jagoda, I think his name is. He's a very popular, like, golf content creator. And he does series where he, tries to par a hole with every club in his bag, right? Or every golf club in the bag. And I was like, all right, disc golf bags, for those of you that don't know, disc golf bags are constantly revolving door of like things that go in and out. I would be very impressed if any like consistent like disc golfer has all of the same discs in their bag for like a 2-month stretch. Like I
there's no
am
way.
constantly like switching in and out things, you know, different discs coming in, coming out of the bag, whatever. So I was like, all right, that's probably the reason why nobody's tried this yet. Let's give it a shot. So I found a hole that was good, nice and long, par 5, fun, interesting, I thought. And it's like, all right, let's just try and par this hole with every disc in my bag. And the first video that I posted of that, just detailing the challenge, got a tremendous amount of traction, like a fairly ridiculous amount of traction. So that was a little reassuring, but also a little pressuring on my own kind of thing to be like, oh, okay,
the rest has got to be good now.
we gotta do it, right? So, yeah, then it was just a matter of trying to be myself in front of the camera, not necessarily like play any sort of character. The way I think about it is in front of the camera, I'm just taking my own self, my own default level, and I'm just like dialing that up a little bit, right? Because if you try and go crazy and play a character, people are gonna tell there's a little bit of a lack of authenticity. I think slightly turned off of that type of content.
And the internet right now is definitely, I believe it's really shifting towards we just want authenticity. I really think that's what people just want right now. So I completely agree.
I think yeah, I think we're emerging from an era that is fairly inauthentic, and you know, we've always needed authenticity. I mean, truth be told, right, all of the social media stuff is semi like counterproductive to like the daily mental state if you do it incorrectly. And it's very easy and available to get this dopamine addiction, to get this,
Yep.
dependency on uh, watching the lives of other people. But doing that correctly and then having that be a reinforcement for a force of like creativity and community and evolution, that's a whole different story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So kind of tell me a little bit about how I know we covered a lot right there. Tell me a little bit
Sure, yeah.
about, just to go back just a little bit, about for someone that wants to get into content creation, and we can just use disc golf as that example right now. What was the thing that made you go, "Oh, I'm gonna go grab my camera and I'm gonna go record this hobby that I do"? Was there a specific moment that just you went, "Oh, I'm gonna go do that"?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a few roundabout answers there. I've always been a creative person that struggles with producing creative things, or rather creative motivation, right? So if I have an idea, then my brain immediately extrapolates all of the effort that it's going to take to do this idea, and I sort of knock myself down in motivation thinking about all of that. It's not a fun place to be when you have like all of these ideas, creative like projects, avenues. I mean, that's one of the things that was rough indeed about like music and writing music and um, you know, this idea you have a song in your head, but then it's like, there's so much work that's going to go into figuring out what this song is, what it means, the lyrics, all of this, and like what that is. And it's so hard for me to just like take that first step and start. So just like slap some paint on the paper, like, or on the canvas, slap some paint on the canvas,
Mm-hmm.
make it bad, make it intentionally bad if you need to, right? Like, make that the joke, make it the gag, like do this, do it, like do something anyway. Like it, you're, I always get like in my head about trying to like the first thing I do has to be perfect. I never wrote a single rough draft of any essay in my life. Now,
Always a
it
final
should be
draft.
it should be very clear at this point that I have a ADHD diagnosis, but like this tendency of like, oh, this first thing that I'm doing has to be the final optimal perfect thing is so hard to escape and so important to escape. So if you want to do any sort of like filming, video editing, whatever, download a free editing app, download CapCut. I'm not sponsored. Hey, CapCut, if
Me
you're
either. I use
listening.
CapCut though all the time.
I mean,
They're
right? They're great. Like, it's a free editing software. It's pretty darn intuitive. And if it's not intuitive, you're going to make enough mistakes to figure out what is the right way to do things. Film something stupid. And then what you can do is if you don't want to post it, that's fine. Just film it, edit it, and then just like have it. Because an important part of this, like, overcoming that creative block or the creative motivation, for me at least, is being surrounded by creations of mine, whether that is like it doesn't, the quality doesn't really matter, because being surrounded by a bunch of stuff that you've created, that's proof of your effort that has like brought
Whether
something
it's
into
good
the
or
world.
not. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. I mean, I had a conversation over this past holiday with my cousin and my dad about this whole creative effort roadblock that is in like for so many people. Now, some people have an idea, they can just execute on it. They can break it down into these step-by-step processes and say, all right, I'm going to do step 1 today, step 2 and 3 tomorrow, step 4 the next day. I can't do that. I need to do everything all at once, or it's just rarely going to get done, or at least that's the mentality that I
Sure.
have to like adapt, so I
Yeah.
can trick myself, right? I can say, oh, my entire project is filming the video. Cool. We did the project. Hey, I have an idea for a new project. What if we
Oh,
edited that video?
you're just
Right?
tricking yourself all the time.
That's
Yeah.
what it is. Because now, this is an interesting difference between content creation and like physical media, I think. For example, painting or drawing. If you have creative inspiration when you're painting or drawing, you can sit down, take out a piece of paper or a canvas, do something like with that creative moment immediately,
Yeah.
and then boom, there it's done.
Yeah.
With content creation, it's a little, I'm not going to say more difficult, but it's just you have to manage your own energy a little more.
100%.
Because if I have an idea, then step 1 is getting to the disc golf course, right? We have to spend that time on the drive. I have to keep myself hyped up in the car.
I've never thought about it this way. That's so interesting.
It's a thing, right? And I have to like. It took me a second to notice why I was getting to the course and then feeling less motivated.
Yeah.
Well, it's because I spent all of this time in the car thinking about the idea.
Wow.
And
you just blew my mind. I've never considered it that way. That's so true. Yeah.
Any opportunity for my brain, at least, to micromanage itself, it's going to. So being aware of this concept of like, oh, hey, I have an idea. I've thought about it enough that I want to do it. I'm not going to think about it at all until I get to the disc golf course, right? Like having that space. Okay, think about something else, put on a podcast, whatever, to just fill that gap until you get to the course, and then it's time to press play on that passion. Okay, cool. We've got there. Now we film the video, and it's great, and it's fun. We film the video, we have a good time, have some good laughs, yapping a bunch, but I'll cut all that out in post. And, oh, this is a little bit of a rough cut. We'll cut it out in post. We'll do all that in post. It's fine.
Yep.
And then it comes time to do the post editing. I realized that, when I was filming, I wasn't being super friendly to editor Dylan, because you have to come back from disc golf course, and now it's time to get up that motivation again.
Yeah.
For the editing. So this is all a roundabout way of saying, again, very clearly, my brain is all over the place. To answer the question that was asked, how do we get into content creation, video editing, or anything of the sort? Just do something. Like do a silly little video. Maybe, so disc golf specific then, if you're out on the course, have your buddy film a shot. Do a little, hey, here's a video, intro, like whatever, funny little intro, whatever comes off your mind. It's going to be bad. It better be bad. Like that's even better. Like make fun of yourself. That is the whole reason. So much joy in my life and in people's lives have come from the ability, willingness to make fun of themselves, to realize that nobody is like individually perfect. Like we are all a collective idiot. That is the best mentality to have. So
what a great phrase.
Be a collective idiot on camera, and then look back on it and share it with somebody you love. make them laugh, make them smile. They will, I promise you. And there's that little nugget of serotonin that pushes you to film the next video, right? And then
Wow,
you're just
that's you just blew my mind with how you think about that. That's so interesting. Yeah,
it's
I
good.
know personally for me, I spend as much time as I can filming, editing, posting, writing captions, and then I get upset with myself that I'm not able to do that like 16 hours a day and go full stop the whole time. And it's like, oh yeah, probably just because I'm thinking about this all the time, I have to give my brain some time to just not, you know? So like micromanaging that to a point of like, we're gonna take this little break here. I think that's a really cool way to look at it, and I think that'd be really helpful to anyone that wants to actually do content creation and do any kind of art form in general. So
Yeah.
very, very cool.
Yeah, I think this whole like notion of, I don't know, I could go on and on about like perfection being the enemy of like creativity, and it's the one thing that's gonna like stop you from doing things. It's, you know, all of this is like surrounding, you know, fear of being judged, of like, oh, you know, somebody saw my video and they thought it was funny for the wrong reasons. Like they think I'm silly. They think it's, you know, not good. It's a, you know, waste of time. Like it's, you know, okay, cool, man. You're not my audience.
Yeah.
Great. I'm filming
Whatever.
this because I think it's funny. I'm having a good time. And I know that, you know, I'm sharing it with people that will smile.
Do you ever have people from like younger in your life, like high school, that started following you that maybe didn't? This is very anecdotal. This is just personal.
Sure.
I don't know if this happens to other people, but I just you're here, so I'm gonna ask you.
Mhm.
Uh, Recently, I've had a couple people from high school
Mm.
follow me on either TikTok or Instagram, and like are really starting to support the content in some way. But in high school, they weren't kind to me in any way. Like they weren't bullies per se, but they just
Sure, sure, sure.
didn't necessarily like being around them or anything like that. And I just find it weird how that kind of comes full circle in that way. And I don't really know how to feel about it. Do you personally have any like instances where people have followed you from the past and you just don't really know what to do with that? Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. I think, well, so uh my professional hat is I'm a teacher and tutor at like a tutoring center, and I teach like STEM stuff on like, for, you know, I go around to schools and I teach like STEM things, and about like whatever, 3D printers, drones, whatever, like some like fun stuff to get the youth excited about STEM stuff, because that is my other like passion, is mathematics, right? So, and I could talk about that till the cows come home. So my point is, like, I've seen a lot of like evidence that I think it's hard to remember that maturity is a thing that happens. And you know, I personally haven't had any experience similar. There were people that I, in high school, that I and college, that I didn't like associate with necessarily, but I was never on like bad terms with people really. Um, but that's also probably because I was very, very shy and kept to myself a lot. Like I, you know, found an extroverted friend and just latched onto them and just kind
Your
of,
life.
yeah, you know, and just kind of latched onto them, and, you know, had them make all my friends for me. It was just, you know, until I was able to, you know, start feeling a little bit more confident about myself as a person. And so I think, you know, if they're, you know, connecting with you and supporting the channel and stuff, and there's, I think that's growth. You know, I think that's
Yeah, for
growth,
sure.
you know, and that's not, I'm not trying to say necessarily that anybody was, I don't know, counterproductive friend, or any sort of, you know, this like social game that exists in high school.
Yeah.
Um, it's just not a friendly ecosystem
For
for
sure.
like you got to be really self-confident to like grow during like those high school
Yeah.
years, like and grow into like the person that you want to be, you know, because
100%.
it's so easy to sort of fall into this trap of like all my friends are picking on whoever, let's join in on that, you know, or like, oh, you know, we're all gonna go to a party and drink or whatever, and it's
Mhm.
like, you know, oh well, peer pressure, let's do it, you know.
And I also
This
have
is
to think,
all.
that was 10, 12 years ago at this point. It's not like that's fair to think about people from that through that lens this later on in life. But I just thought that was an interesting point. I don't know, kind of a strange question, but I just thought that was interesting that I didn't know if that happens to other people.
I mean, I've had people sort of not necessarily through like my disc golf like channel, but you know, I've had like people reach out to me like um from years and years ago, but I kind of just treat that as like a fun thing, honestly. I treat that as like an opportunity to just like reconnect with somebody who maybe feels more fully formed now, you know, because I don't know about anybody else, but I didn't know who the hell I was in high school or like even college. You know, it's just like I still don't. I still don't. We're all just pretending, you know what I
Who are
mean?
you, Dylan? Who are
Yeah,
you?
exactly. You know, don't ask me that.
Yeah,
So
no. If college Adam could see Adam right now, I think he'd be like, "Whoa, that's crazy. You're a different
I
person."
I think about that a lot. Like meeting your younger self, like what would you say? What would they say? Like I I will get way into the rabbit hole of all that.
That's another episode of lore. We can get into that later.
Hmm, hmm.
Yeah. So bringing it back to disc golf a little bit, how do you balance being a player versus a creator? Do those like
Yeah,
compete with each other?
they really do. Oh my gosh. Um, so this is a cautionary tale of like when I was sort of first starting like this disc golf content thing, I would go out to like play a disc golf round and then, oh, sweet, I'm gonna play a disc golf round and I can also just like film some content while I'm doing that. And that will just fulfill both things. Perfect. And then I would film something and then it would be like a bad shot and then I would get in my head about that shot and get in my head about the video and be like, you know, darn, whatever. And then it even when I had like a good shot, I was like, yes, good content. Like not I wasn't rewarding myself
Yeah.
mentally for like the good shot. Um so this is all to say a lot of the time I spent just recording footage while going out to play a disc golf round,
Mm-hmm.
it ended up being sort of like they sort of canceled each other out in terms of fulfillment, right? So this is all kind of because when I'm going out to play a disc golf round, like especially when it's just like by myself, my goal is just to like get away from things and like get my head on straight, you know, or you
Yeah.
know, have a good time, you know, treat my soul, feed the soul, right? Whatever. And this is not to say that content creation is not that in any way. It's just a different avenue for that. And those avenues run parallel. They do not intersect.
Yeah. No.
It is difficult, like very rarely um, do I have like a good round and good like content creation, even like one or two videos. Like I've learned that it's so much better to get into the mentality of, all right, am I going out for a content round or am I going out for a like disc golf round?
Yeah.
You know? So that's a great question to ask. And it's very important for me because I went through a stint of was just like, I was just like filming every time I went out. And then I started to not like disc golf anymore. And I was like,
Mm,
well, what the heck is going on? I didn't like disc golf and I didn't like content creation. So I was like, okay, what's going on that these two things that I enjoy are now being like draining instead of, you know, adding, like feeding to the day? Well, I was trying to do two things at the same time. I was trying to eat food and drink water at the same time, and then you just end up waterboarding yourself. So that's just
Yeah.
not good. So keeping those not necessarily fully separate, but separate enough or distinct enough that I'm allowing myself to be in the right mindset for that. So if it's the best way for me to do content creation is I'm going out to the course and I don't play around. I literally just, park at whatever hole I'm trying to film a few things there, scamper back home. That's what I did yesterday. I scampered out for just like an hour to one hole. Great. Did it. Done. I'm not going to play anything else. We're just going to head back home. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, no, I think when you talk about what those being parallel to each other, it's true. You have to find a way so because they don't intersect at all, No, I think that's a really good way to look at it, and it probably did take a little while to find that balance. I'm sure that was like a many month long process.
Yeah, I mean, when you have, I don't know. I'm a big fan of if flavors can exist on the same plate, they can be eaten together in the same bite. But it took me a second to realize why I was feeling more drained or less inspired, right, about these things, because it's all, like I said, my motivation is such a fickle thing, right? So I'm trying to catch this fairy in a bottle, and then I'm like, okay, well, now it feels like my bottle has holes on it, or I'm more like trying to catch something, like trying to catch a fly with a wet dryer sheet. Like it just is not. It feels sluggish. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
feel good. So like that's just a telltale sign that it took me a second to zone in and pick up on and say, no, my brain isn't wrong. The things that I'm doing right now are not conducive to my own mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a really healthy way to look at it. I'm glad you've kind of come around to that and realize what works for you. So
I'm still learning, I mean, we're all, I think, still learning what works for us. And I think it's, much more difficult to zone in on. I think it's a balance day to day. So some days when I think I want to, be creating content a lot, really, my brain was just too busy. I need to just like play around at disc golf, or just like close the blinds, watch a movie, like, and just be
just
like,
chill.
because I feel like such an extroverted introvert, because I love connecting with people and I love doing outward activities, but good Lord, I need my cocoon time. You know what I mean? Like I need to just like curl up in a ball. And when I don't get a chance to do that, sometimes my brain tricks myself into thinking, I don't need to do that, but I do,
Yeah.
like it's a whole thing about listening to your brain and, trying to adapt your goals to how your brain, or at least in my experience, to how my brain wants to approach things.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, we're always figuring that out, but it's nice that you're figuring that out more, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got a couple more questions for you. What's the most clutch throw you've ever made on camera? Actually, on or off camera, either one.
Sure. That's a good question, right? So, what do you define as clutch?
Like a birdie save, or like you threw something, like your tee shot was just, horrific, and then you somehow scrounge a par out of it, or maybe that's like you hit a 300-foot ace, or like I don't know, it could be different to you, but or like you maybe had to scramble and fight for it, and you just didn't expect the result.
Yeah. So I think I will put. Let's see. Yeah, there's a few that come to mind. I mean, I've had a few, what people call like throw-ins, where on like a par four, right? My first shot was like mid, my second shot was like mid, and now I'm like 200 feet out from the basket, and then I throw in for birdie, like smash the
Crazy.
chains, everything.
Yeah.
Right. But then if we're talking about clutch saves, my first official PDGA tournament that I played in, it was a 2-round tournament at like a course around here. The first round, I kind of soiled the sheets a little bit. I ended up about middle back of the pack in my division. Just wasn't really playing well. Hitting a bunch of trees. It's like a wooded course, so it feels.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can imagine. It feels great to just hit so many trees on the way to the basket, and so it was fine. I was playing all right. It just like wasn't. It's whatever. Had some barbecue for lunch. Came back round 2, and I just started. The big thing was putting. So I wasn't like putting my disc under the basket like easily, right? But I was like throwing in from like 30, 40 feet out fairly consistently. I picked back up my score. I gained like 7 strokes across the round. I tied the leader. We went to a playoff hole, and I had another 20-foot putt for the win, and I made it. So there's your little clutch moment of like, wow, kind of locked in, which was really nice.
That's the most true lock-in story I've heard in a while. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean it's weird, you kind of, well, I don't know. Other people's processes are different. I'm so attached to expectation that when I detach from it, it's like, oh, okay, we're free. I don't want to like curse, but like shit the bed on like round 1. And then it's like, okay, whatever. We'll let go of expectation and we're just gonna throw like and have fun. We're here. We're just gonna have fun. And then I always play my best when I'm having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you had some aces?
Yeah, nothing crazy. My longest one I actually got a week ago.
Wow.
That it wasn't in like a tournament setting or anything, but I was actually my girlfriend's sister's girlfriend. We went out to the course. She was interested in disc golf, so we went out, played around, and we came up to hole 16. I was like, this is actually my favorite hole in the course because it's a little downhill. It's a little like wide open. And you just kind of got to put the disc like nose down a little bit, and it'll just kind of do what it needs to do. And so I step up to the tee pad, I throw the disc, little nose down, and this thing just drifts perfectly and sits right down in the chains. And I was like, yeah, just like that. Just do that.
Yeah, go do that. Yeah.
She was like, I'm going home.
That's so funny.
But
I love
it. It was a good time.
That's great. Oh. Okay, so the last question I have for you is, it's the same thing I ask everyone that comes on the podcast. So also, how old are you? I don't even think I ever asked.
About 73. I think I lost count around my early 70s.
Okay.
Yeah,
so as a grandpa, then
early immortal kind of vibes. No, I'm 25.
Are you really? Wow, I thought you were like maybe 30.
It's the hairline. It's the hairline. You can be honest. It's fair.
Well, and then in that case, then I think you'll be in an even better spot to answer this question than some other people have.
Sure.
So for anyone in that kind of like maybe 18 to 20-ish age range, what's the biggest piece of advice you could give them as they're entering adulthood and going through that really biggest change of their life where the world kind of just opens up?
Sure. Yeah. I would say figure out what your goals are, and that it's never too late to figure out what your goals are. And when I say that, I think a lot of people, myself included, get roped into this mentality of like, all right, what are my financial goals? What are my successful goals? What are my business goals? Like what are this, lifestyle goals? What kind of, durable goods am I looking to purchase in a few years? So that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. That can be part of it, and it should be part of it. But at least in my experience, that just kills my soul. Like, I do not really get excited about, here's my 5-year financial plan for retirement. Like it's just not super exciting for me. And like, I understand that it's important and, act accordingly in that sense. But make sure you're feeding your soul with like, so that like out in the future, you can see yourself doing something that's fun. Like straight up, like I did like I did an exercise recently of like, of a value assessment. I narrowed down from like 40 values down to like my top 5. And my second highest value was fun. Like just the value of fun. Like I think it's, again, for me, so important to be able to have that to look forward to, even if it's not a guarantee, right? And then in that same vein, if you are any age, right? Any age at all, and you have a creative notion, or you think that there's some nugget of serotonin that you can glean from creative output, do something. Just do it. Do something. If it's not going to be perfect, if you're unmotivated, if you're tired, if you're too busy, just do it anyway. Do something. Do a 5-minute little thing, like just a little nugget of joy. I don't care if you're taking like bread clips and stacking them together to make a little sculpture. Like, it just is so important to reinforce your own creative passion and find out what step along that creative output is the thing that does it for you. Because honestly, there is a lot of minutia around content creation that doesn't do it for me. I'm doing this for a few specific moments. One, I get to make fun of myself on camera. Great. Phenomenal. I love doing that. It's my favorite part. Like being out on the course, doing something stupid in front of a camera. Amazing. Love it. I'm a Leo. I love being the center of attention, right?
Same.
So like, just do that. Right. And then on the back end, I love seeing a semi-polished cut of myself making fun of myself on camera. Like, those are the nuggets that I'm seeking. So I got to realize when I'm feeling not motivated to start that editing process, there's a reason I'm not motivated, because it doesn't inspire me. That part of the process doesn't super inspire me, but I'm doing that to get to that end result. Right.
Gotcha.
So that was a lot of thoughts that I just kind of crammed into a little.
They actually went in pretty good order too. That made great sense. Oh, you
okay. Beautiful. I worry sometimes that my brain is like, it doesn't really follow the beaten path. Beaten?
That's okay. You don't have to follow the beaten path. That's
Sure.
what being an artist is about,
I suppose so.
Yeah. So, Dylan, where can people find you?
You can check me out on Instagram at DylanDoesDiscGolf, or YouTube by the same name, or TikTok by the same name. Those are the 3 that I'm on? Yeah, I think so. And I
Great. Yeah.
Started this series on Instagram, and after it finished up, I was like, oh, I should probably start uploading to like TikTok and YouTube shorts as well. So that's what I'm starting to do as well.
Nice.
Like with these new videos that I'm putting out.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Dylan, thank you so much for coming on. This was an awesome conversation. I really enjoyed it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. So, without further ado, that is Dylan.
Thank you, everybody.